Hey everybody, it's Honesty, and this is the Right Honesty podcast featuring the one and only
Hello,
AG, Attorney
hello.
General
I
AG.
am
How
well,
are you?
thank you.
Okay, uh, so we are going to talk about Ante Up, High Stakes
King of Hearts.
Holiday, and King of Hearts. I want to begin by saying, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I, Andy Up is very different than I remember. Not the content, the timing, and so it was so like it took so long, not so long, but I thought that things came out earlier, like the truth about his fiance and some other pieces like about her dad's death, I think comes out. I thought all of that was much earlier. It wasn't until this reread where I actually did more reading than skimming. That stuff is not until the end. The beginning, but and we'll get into it, but what all of that made me do was see when did the next two books come out. So Annie Up was January 25th, 2017. King of Hearts was the next year,
Hmm.
February 10th, 2018. And that blew me away because we found out about Trey, we found out about Cree, we found out about Jackson. And in my mind, these were all 2 months apart. But High Stakes Holiday is not until three
Yeah.
years later, February 2021. And so I was just like, I don't, it's if they read as if they happened, they read as if she wrote them back to back to back, and she didn't. So she really had to know where she was going. Which is just something that I noticed, but that stopped me in my tracks. I was like, she had to have this whole story. She, at least to me, at least she had Annie Up and King of Hearts. Maybe High Stakes Holiday came like later, but they just
And
seem to
while
fit
I'm
so perfectly
sure the
together.
title of the podcast will indicate who she is, let's clarify. You're talking about Christina C. Jones
Oh yeah.
because we
As if
jumped
there's
right
anyone who does not know. We are talking about the one and the only Christina Cordelia Jones. I don't know if it's Cordelia, but it just felt right. And yeah, she is prolific. She is exceedingly popular. Um, and she just is doing the damn thing. She's written some of my favorite romance novels. She's one of the reasons that I started writing. And yeah, I guess I should go to her bio, but
Yes,
she's that
and this
girl.
is our second ode to
Yes.
CCJ after realizing that we had not spent appropriate time on her catalog. I think we just kind of take it took it for granted because she's one of my favorite writers as well. We'd done the Connecticut Kings, and she's one of those voices that I think is always in the background, right? Of when I'm reading Black romance, right, CCJ is always in the back of my mind, probably because she has such an extensive catalog, many of which I
Mhm.
love, right, and have read over and over and over again.
Mhm.
So I won't say that I routinely compare other authors to CCJ, but she's just one of the titans for me, in terms of Black romance. And
Mhm.
so, and Annie Up was saying all of that. Annie Up is my all-time favorite CCJ story. It
That
surprised me
surprises
because
me.
going into Annie Up, there were so many, and since Annie Up, there've been, several more that have just been outstanding and fantastic. It's hard for me to say that, but it really
Mhm.
is. I think that Annie Up is in a class by itself. Um, in terms of her
I would
storytelling.
agree with that.
And
Yes.
what I appreciated is at the very, very beginning of Annie Up, she has this moment of transparency in her author's note about being terrified because it was different for her. It was, she didn't use the word gritty in the author's note, but I've seen her talk about it in other contexts, and that's the word that she's used, right? And it is darker than her stuff that had come to date. I think, she has since gone into some other areas, but Annie Up was the first, right? I think that Annie Up
Yeah.
um, opened the door to the Vegas Nights series. It opened the door to the Wolves
Uh-huh.
series. Dare I say that it might have opened the door for her on the paranormal stuff, the blacks of Blackwood and
Yeah.
some of yeah, some of that stuff,
They're
but
in
I
this
think it
world.
started with Annie Up, of her stepping out of her comfort zone and still giving you romance, but it being a very different offering from what we had gotten from CCJ to that point.
Is yeah. Is this before mutually beneficial arrangement? No. At least not on Amazon. I don't know if because I think mutually beneficial arrangement. I think I heard a rumor that it started as a short on her website,
Yeah,
and I
that's a
don't
good
know what year
question.
that was. Versus when it actually appeared on Amazon. Because yeah, it could have been that mutually beneficial was first, and then we get because I feel like I already knew
Oh,
who the
yeah, no, no,
Drakes were,
no.
but that could
So,
have also been that
yes, no,
obviously I
the
haven't read this
Drakes
catalog as it
came
came out.
before, but what she did,
Yeah, but
yeah,
Vegas
yeah,
Nights,
yeah,
that
yeah, right,
trilogy.
because
Yes,
Vegas
yes, yes,
Nights
yes,
in
yes, yes,
particular
yes,
with the
yes.
motorcycle club and then what that leads into, that was also a
Right.
different type of what CCJ had given.
Yeah.
The Braxton and Lincoln
Yeah.
Drake stories, they were novellas. Those are years, they are well before Annie Up, but they are right Playboy meets right, and it doesn't get into Vegas
Yeah.
underbelly at all. It's they could have been anywhere, to be honest. They just happened to be in Vegas. Whereas I think what she did here, it's not even so much the setting, although I think Vegas was the perfect setting for it, right? But it
It
is the
matters. Yeah.
toxicity, it is the domestic violence background, it's all of those things um, that I think she had not. There might have been hints of that in prior books, but we didn't have people that had this kind of stuff in prior CCJ books,
No.
and how things play out.
Well, and Kingston is the big right, and Kingston is the beginning of a character type for her. So Kingston, Ramsey, the billionaire grocery store gangster, and there's one more. Oh, the most recent guy, the Connecticut Kings guy,
Yeah, yeah,
offensive
free
line,
agent.
defensive line, some
Yeah.
kind of something girl. Tatum. They all went to the same elementary school. Like they all got the same, like you could tell that they're supposed to be like larger guys and not necessarily taller, but like bulkier. They are like guys that don't mind getting their hands dirty and kind of jumping into the fray, and like a calm, cool, collected, but I'll fuck you up. Like they all got to say they drink the same water, but Kingston was the first. You can kind of hear echoes of their personality and the way they talk, and
Oh,
kind of you
that's
can hear the
interesting.
echoes in
So
those
I
in
see
the
that. I
characters that
definitely
I
see that
mentioned.
for
Yeah,
Orion, who's from Hostile Takeover. Yes, I need to
that's his
sit with
name. Thank you,
whether
girl. Because I don't know.
I hear that with Tatum. Um, yeah, I need to think about that. I definitely see it with Orion, but I don't.
Well, he was walked by the man but naked to the bathroom when the ex boyfriend
I
was standing there
understand,
looking
but
like a
he
big
was in a
fat
place
dummy.
where he was supposed to be. But fine, fine. Point well taken. Point was. But we are here to talk
But
about
no,
Kingston Whitfield and Asha Davis.
we are. I
I
want to
know
talk
you
about
want to talk
Zora.
about like simmer down, teapot. Okay, simmer down. My goodness.
She's my favorite.
So, anywho, back to Kingston and Asha.
Yes.
This was also talking about you. We talked about how it was a bit of a first for CCJ. I think we this has come up in prior discussions, but this was also Wesley Siobhan's first audiobook. Yes.
Is
Yes,
that
she has shared
right?
that this was her
Wow.
first audiobook, which just I mean, now knowing that she is an actress, it was like, "Oh, okay, it makes sense."
Makes
But
yeah,
I
okay.
remember this audiobook staying with me for a really long time, and it was, yes, Jacoby is always Jacoby, but it was I was like, "Who is this Wesley Siobhan? Who is this? Wow, she," and it was less so on
Mm,
the Asha performance. You know what she really, just like you want to talk about Zora, it was her performance of Dorian that stayed with me.
mm.
She brought
Okay.
Dorian to
Okay.
life in a way that I was not expecting, especially since I had already read the book by the time the audiobook came out, right? So you're like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm just revisiting a story I already know. And then I heard her perform Dorian, and I was like, wow, wow. And I think that was my first experience of being like, wow, so when you get a performer, it is all makes
Yeah.
all the difference in the world in terms of how you experience an audio book. Um, but yeah, but that was her first one. I remember being very shocked by that when she said that that was her first audiobook uh performance.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to a sample. Um, but
Yeah.
I'm sure she knocks it out the park. She's
Yeah.
amazing. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun talking to her.
So do we
Okay,
go ahead.
I have something to tell you, Adrian. I'm unprepared. Now, I
Did you
read the
read the
books.
books?
This is what I did. But I didn't follow the prompts in my mind, but I'm getting ready to follow them right now. But if I be confused and I be
We
back and forth in my
understand.
spirit, that's why.
We understand.
Okay.
So do we let's do the overview. We'll do
We can do impressions
impressions, or
first,
you want
yeah.
to do the overview?
I feel like everybody know this
Well,
book, and I'm ready to talk about
they
it. So
may,
go
but we
ahead.
also can't take that for granted. So, just quickly,
All right, go ahead. Or you want me to do
I'll
it?
do it
I can do either
quickly
one.
while you continue going through the prompts in your mind.
Okay.
Annie Up is a story of Kingston Whitfield and Asha Davis. It's set in Vegas, as we've talked about. Kingston comes from Vegas royalty, Black Vegas royalty. Asha does not. Asha has been caretaker, survivor, scrappy, get it by the skin of your teeth. And she's a phenomenal poker
Mhm.
player, but she acquired that skill in like, some really awful circumstances with her father. Her father used to beat on her mother, and we learned that Asha ultimately was the one that took her father's life. Um, when we meet Asha, she is working as a server at a club in one of the casinos. The casino is owned by Kingston. They have a one night stand. The attraction is electric. Neither one knowing the other who the other one is. And then when they encounter each other again, he disrespects her. And she pays him back, causing him to lose $40,000. What comes after that is he is intrigued and drawn to her. She is similarly attracted to him, but she's got her eye on this prize of a poker tournament. There's a $50,000 buy-in. And Asha being caregiver, she gets so close to saving up the entire amount and then has to use it to save her brother, who is, perennial fuck up, constantly in trouble, just makes dumb
Mhm.
decisions. What we also learn is that they have
Mhm.
Ash and King have things in common in terms of relationship baggage, toxic relationships that are in the rearview mirror and yet still hanging around in different ways. um, and watching the two of them come together in Annie Up, because I think what King is attracted to is that Asha is a fighter and scrappy, but it's also that's some of what frustrates him. I think what Asha's drawn to is um, that King has a soul. He's not just a big dick with money. But those things also scare her because she has seen love go awry. And so it was just what a tale, what a ride, what a story. Good night, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen. No. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Such good stuff.
Good stuff. All right,
I
what were your
mean,
impressions?
gritty was the right word. I thought.
Mhm.
I thought the CCJ did a great job of giving. Yes, you see the glamour of Vegas, but this book takes place just on the fringes of the grid, right? It's not like they're hanging out in the hood, but they're close enough where you're reminded that once you get past the strip, there, people struggling with real deal circumstances. And I thought that
Mhm.
Asha, the way that Asha was portrayed, I thought CCJ did a great balance of as you are watching these two people navigate their attraction to each other, because I wouldn't say they were fighting. I think it was at certain points it was like, I really want you and I'm not sure. I think King fought it more than Asha, and then I think Asha put up defense mechanisms after he acted a fool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
after he
he was
acted
a
a fool.
jackass.
But
Yeah.
Asha was just such a tough cookie. She really was. And I thought that you understood her hesitancy. You respected her drive and her grit again. You respected her strength because she was carrying the weight of her whole family, even though we were talking about all adults at this point. And her resilience and her perseverance. And I think with King, she walked a fine line of giving big dick energy, and King had asshole moments, but he never went so far that he could not be pulled back. And I think she also, by having Ace routinely call him out, I think it also prevented Kingston from being unlikable, where you were like, "Fuck you," like, "I don't care how much money you have," right? Because his
Mhm.
conscience, yeah,
Mhm.
his
Yeah,
conscience
I
was
always
always
liked him.
present. You knew that he was dealing with some stuff. He would, I don't think he played a game, but like, I think that he did not belabor when he knew he was wrong. He didn't belabor apologizing and taking accountability, right? And so that just set up this dynamic where like you understood why these two people couldn't just get it together. And so you had your frustration about that, but then you also continued to root for them and thoroughly enjoy when they did come together, and you were like, yes, yes, thank you. Like, it wasn't a, I wasn't crawling to the end on bloodied hands and knees, but I was, there was some mental and emotional investment in, okay, people, all right, okay, okay. So yeah. So I think,
When
when did I
did you
feel what?
feel that? When did you feel like, "All right, y'all, come on
Um
here."
I may be conflating with King of Hearts because Asha frustrated me in King of Hearts. That
Okay.
might be what it is, right? I didn't
Okay.
understand. That's what it was. Yeah, Asha was frustrating me in King of Hearts, and by that point, I was like, okay, but y'all have been together now. Like, y'all, what's going on here? And then we get our answer at the
Oh,
end.
yeah, in
We get our
the
answer,
okay.
and so I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to give her
Mm.
grace now because sis, her hormones is all over the place because she was growing a whole human. So that's what it is. So yeah, thank you. I was conflating the two. I
Yeah,
agree. There's not as much of that in Annie Up, but
that's
in
a good
King of
point.
Hearts, you're like, girl, please.
But you know what though? We're gonna be everywhere. At least I am. So my apologies to everyone. I felt that way about Zora in High Stakes Holiday, where she was saying to herself that she was okay with it being more. She was tired of kind of going from one house to the other house, but at the same time, it's like she wouldn't fully let herself accept that that's what she wanted. And so, but I didn't, I knew, I guess, let me think, in King of Hearts, I love how her and Trey meet, not meet, but how they're introduced to us and how they come together. And so I didn't want her to have any question or confusion by High Stakes Holiday. I wanted them to already be married with
Yeah,
7 kids.
no,
Um,
I got, like, I think this is why it was good. As much as I like Trey and Zora too, and I love that, like, we got the crumb in Annie Up, right, and then she gave us
mm-hmm.
half of the muffin in King of Hearts, and she gave us the other half of the muffin in High Stakes Holiday. But I felt like we had, Zora, when she, once she explains, or no, because she tells us what happened to us, what happened to her in Annie Up, right? She tells us that her ex-husband threw her through the glass table. That conversation happens in Annie Up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not with Trey, it's with Asha. So as a reader, you understand that his sister, reminder that money doesn't protect you from everything, right? That Kingston's sister had been through some shit, and yes, Trey had this attraction to her, but as far as she was concerned, Trey was little boy crush and could be nothing more. So it was, Zora had to deal with her shit. Right. Zora had to deal with her shit. And I agree with you that by the time we get to High Stakes Holiday, now they've been together for what, 2 or 3 years now. But one of the things that I liked about King of Hearts and High Stakes Holiday. It was the reminder that there's still baggage and bumpy roads even after you get the happily ever after, right? With King of Hearts, with King
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
Asha,
yeah.
it was the pregnancy. They didn't have bumpy road in High Stakes Holiday, but I did think with Zora, kind of tugging, going back and forth with herself about whether or not she wanted to get married again or not, was the reminder that yes, they had been happy and she and Trey got there happily after, but there was still things that she
Mhm.
was working through, and it was still manifesting itself
Yeah,
in interesting ways for her, even
yeah.
3-4 years into a
True.
healthy, happy, stable relationship.
That's true. This is true because it's hard to be in a relationship with the person across from you. So, like, if you haven't worked out you know how people say parent the child in front of you? You got to
Yeah,
be with the spouse in front of you. And so, if your baggage is clouding your vision, then you're not with the person in front of
yeah.
you. You're with your past until you clear that up and you can be
Hmm.
with the person in front of you. So I get that. All right. So in my impression of this one, the first one, Annie Up, it it wasn't my first by CCJ, but I've jumped head in. I don't there's not much about her that I don't love entirely. But I need to catch up on some things, but anyway. I loved Annie Up from start to finish, but he wasn't my favorite because I prefer the who are the what's the name of the street? It's so many places to live now. I prefer
Oh,
the men
okay.
from the heights.
I was like, what street?
I
Are we
like
talking
that
about the
kind of
street?
guy. So the
Okay.
Nixon,
Okay.
all them people. So the grittiness, I loved it. I like Kingston. I love Asha, but the Heights people, those are the men that we are all I'm in a reverse harem with them. Um, I felt like I was impatient with CCJ in this. The way that I remember being impatient with her, and I was even impatient this last time. The way that I am typically impatient with Joan. Incidentally, I did not finish the Mail book, but I started it. I have to finish it. I wanted her to jump into his arms. I wanted her to
Mhm.
accept that he was a good guy, and I wanted her to immediately
Mm.
have her happily ever after. I recognize that
Mhm.
that's not human,
Mhm.
that's not normal, but because I'm the reader and I have the benefit of everybody's thoughts, um, I wanted her to just be happy from day
Yeah.
one. That's my only gripe. I wanted her to immediately meet him and say, "Yes, take me, Fabio.
Take me,
Calgon,
Fabio.
take me away." And be happy forever. But because that's not normal,
Yeah.
I loved how it happened. I I actually was commenting this to someone and I was telling them that I didn't like it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think I might like it. So a sticking point for me when I was reading this again was that she wouldn't she did not know Kingston. She knew Dorian, which of course Dorian Hayward from Sparkle, so it made me want to watch the movie. I forgot that was the name in there. But anyway, she she did not know Kingston, but she knew Dorian. And but she wouldn't enter into these agreements with Kingston, but she did enter into an agreement with Dorian. And so initially I was like, well, why would you agree to whatever the rest of this is? Like, what made her not run directly to Kingston and say, hey, help me,
Well,
him doing a bad
well,
thing.
I mean,
So,
okay,
but what
because I'm
changed my
like,
mind about
wait,
it,
wait.
right? What changed my mind about it was that even like when people say the devil you know
Yes.
is better than the devil you don't, he was just
Yes.
the devil that she knew. And she did not have any reason to put any deep and significant trust in Kingston. And she also did not, knowing Dorian, she knew what she could do to keep her brother safe. She was hoping she didn't have to go that far, but she knew she would survive it. And so it was like, here's $45,000. I'm gonna try to come up with the rest. And then as he started to change the terms and move the goalposts, if I'm remembering correctly, she still was trying to like figure out how to make it work. But when I was reading it, I was kind of like, I wanted her to play them against each other, but that's not
Well,
what the
well,
book
and
was, so
hold
I had to let it go.
on, because let's remember when she realizes that Ahmad, um, owes Dorian money, she and Kingston were not at the point where she could have gone to him about that. And so, you know,
No, I mean once she has to
okay,
go to his
okay, but I
house.
was getting there. And then the issue
Yeah.
with going to his house, remember, Kingston had dissed her. This happens in the time period where Kingston made it clear when he did that this was just business and put her in her
Right.
place.
No, I don't mean run to him. Yeah, I don't mean run to him because he loves her and will do anything for her. I mean play them against each other. Like tell one thing and tell the other
Well,
thing,
that
and you
is
try to
not,
hope
I
that the two
mean,
missiles hit each other,
but
and
I
you. That's
realize
what I mean. That wasn't
the
the book.
ridiculousness of what I'm about to say. That's not realistic. Like, there's very few women who, if a man has like checked you and made it clear it ain't what you think it is, and you have your ex who is threatening your brother over a debt, there are very few women that, instead of trying to negotiate something with the ex, they go to the nigga that was like, I don't know what you thought this was, but this is just business. Ain't nothing personal happening between us. That's just not, at this point in time, he had dissed her. Like, he had checked her and was like, that's not happening between us, and hurt her feelings. So I wouldn't have gone to King either. I think that most women wouldn't have gone to King because he had made it. He had, and so on that particular point, I was annoyed with him because I was like, you were the one that created this weird dynamic. Like,
Oh, he
she
definitely
was,
was.
grateful and happy, and that made him uncomfortable and it triggered him, and he felt the need to put her in her place, and she was like, oh, okay, I'm back in my place. Cool. That's why she didn't go to him. And then she didn't know because he was like, well, why didn't you ask my mother or my sister or whatever? Like, she didn't know them women like that. This is her ex-boyfriend. Like, this is not some loan shark who
Right.
just swooped down on them out of nowhere. There had been a long time relationship.
Right.
I understood her not wanting to put her family's business in the street, although she realized they had clearly done some diligence on her. But it's embarrassing that your brother's an idiot and went and gambled and got himself into debt with the same dude that he knew you struggled to get away from, right? Like, so in that respect, I didn't view Asha as having a choice, and I like really side-eyed the hell out of King because I was like, you didn't, like, you created the worst dynamic for her. It's not like they were happy and getting to know each other and sleeping together and she's keeping this big secret. Like, that whole dinner at Dorian's happened in during the time period where King had acted an ass towards her.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with what happened. I'm saying I wanted
Okay.
a different book.
Okay.
I'm saying
You're
I
being
wanted to
unreasonable.
see her.
Got it. Okay.
I'm saying I wanted to, in my mind, she would have been another version of her would have been slightly craftier. She played everything straight, is what I'm saying. And so maybe some of that was just her style, but as a like a cat who always lands on their feet, like she took it on herself. She said, I will go to his house. I know what I need to do. I'm hoping I don't have to do the maximum, but I'm going to play along with this thing to
Yeah.
keep everybody safe, which is entirely reasonable, and it's what she had always done. But what I'm saying is there is a version of her, or maybe I'm thinking about Ace or somebody else who would have been like, okay, let me not eat the sin cake. Let me not take this on for real, for real. Let me see if somebody else can bear some of this load, and not running like Kingston save me, but more like, hey, somebody said they want to meet you. You know what I'm saying? Like figure out some kind of something where you can run off. But here again, that's
Yeah.
not the book.
Yeah. And
That's all I'm
I
saying.
guess also, just in fairness, I think worrying that her brother's physical safety was going to be in jeopardy again. Like, I get what you're saying, but I also understand her not wanting to, like, because that would have been a risk, right? Like, and that would have been a risk.
Right. And it wasn't a
Yeah.
heist book, and the stakes
Right.
weren't
That would,
going in that
yeah,
direction. Like that
yeah,
wasn't what the stakes were
yeah.
supposed to be.
So,
Yeah.
and listen, the reality is that Dorian did have a soft spot for her, right? Like, he did feel bad
Hmm.
about the fact that they had lost their child, that I think. well, not I think, as he had said to her, that was why he had given her space, right? Because he felt bad and he was
Mhm.
devastated and distraught about the miscarriage as well. But once she was like, that was the best day of my life, then the evil,
Mhm.
came full force. Like it was already always
Yeah. She probably
yeah,
should have kept
simmering.
that to herself.
I thought to myself, I was like, girl, you could have just like that could have stayed in a thought
Just think it
bubble
in your
that
mind.
should have never come
Inside thought.
out. Um
Mhm. It's an
but
inside
it's
thought.
and Wesley is as Dorian, and she was like, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I was just like, why am I feeling bad for this man? I want to hate him. No, he's the devil. But like she did a great job
Yeah, I never felt
of
bad for him. You can go to hell.
conveying like authentic anguish on the part of Dorian, but
Mhm.
like you never forgot that Dorian, like in the beginning I was like, what's this story here between Asha and Dorian? What's the situation? And then as it played out further, and I was like, oh, he the devil. Oh, okay. So there's no redeeming him. Yeah, no, this is going a certain
Mhm.
way. Um but I didn't get that from the jump, right? Even with him and I know how crazy this sounds, even with him beating Ahmad up or, roughing him up, he had gotten into debt for 75 grand. Like, people get killed over
Yeah.
that, right? And it was more than anything, I was too through from the very beginning with Ahmad. I was just like, throw him away. It's time for you to move. Like I was like, yes, you need to move because it's like Ahmad, and then with all due respect to her mother, they were leeches. They were leeches, right?
Yeah.
They were sucking the life
Yeah.
out of her. Um, and I was re-listening again this morning, just like, refreshing my memory again. But when Asha talks about how her mother could not, like how much she mourned her father, right? And that she realized after the fact, after killing her father, she realized that she didn't set her mother free at all, right? Because her mother was still locked in the cage of her mind because she mourned her father and couldn't function, couldn't take care of them. And then when she started dating again, right? She started dating the same type of man, and Asha moving out of their home and taking Ahmad with her, right? She did that when she was 18, and she took Ahmad with her.
Yeah.
And I think there were just certain things that I'd forgotten, right? That it was, they did not begin to reconcile until the mother got together with her current husband, Tim, the security guard. And he was the one that encouraged their mother to like reach out because I think it's like it's presented in a softer way, but Asha pretty much says, I hadn't
Mhm.
completely closed the door on my mother, but I wasn't fucking with her like that. And I think I suspect the mother just kind of like gave the space, feeling like, my kids don't want to be bothered with me, so let me leave them alone. But I mean, the medical bills, that was a drain, that was a leech. And then
Yeah.
Ahmad doing stupid stuff. It's like, nigga, how do you get $75,000 in debt? Just like,
Yeah. This is
how,
weird.
sir? How? By not exercising
Yeah.
common sense, right? And exercising self-control. And, oh, and by the way, and you got two kids on the way, right? You got, oh no, right? No, no, I'm
Took
sorry,
his
you got a
away.
baby on the way with the side chick. That's what it was.
She wasn't having
It
more.
was
No,
just
it was
one.
just one because then she becomes when somebody becomes the
Yes,
midwife in the
that's why I'm
next one,
saying
in
if
the
in
third one,
Annie
in
Up,
the next one.
his girlfriend is not
Yes.
pregnant. The side piece is pregnant. In King of Hearts,
Yes.
the girlfriend is pregnant and serving as a midwife slash
Yes.
doula for Asha. Yeah.
Yes. Um I I'm in the middle of a Kayla Shawn book. I don't know the name of it, so sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. But in the book, let me look it up. The woman is a bodyguard. She used to be like a in a gang bodyguard, and it also opens with somebody in her family being a nuisance. And I just commend these people for always stepping in because I
Yeah,
can't say that I
it's
would. It's called Beneath the
mm.
Silence. It's book 3 in the Things Unseen series. I don't know that I would be stepping in and helping these people. You ought to go and get a
Yeah,
period on. I don't know.
I agree. And it was heartbreaking, right? It was heartbreaking because, the first time she's looking at the money. The first time she's like counting up the money, it is the day after she caused King to lose the poker game and he fired her, right? And that
Yep.
morning, she's counting up the money, and I think she's got like 42,000 and change, right? The buy-in
Mhm.
for the tournament is 50K, and she's like, I got to figure something out. I got to try. I'm obviously going to try and get my job back. I could, you know, just live off of this. If I'm smart with my money, I could live off of this for a while. I'd be crazy to still try and go after the tournament, but she desperately wants the tournament, right? And
Mhm.
so that's the first time she's counting it, but she notes that every time she's gotten close, something has come up.
Yes.
For someone
Yes.
else, right? And
Mhm.
it's between her mother and her brother, right? And
Mhm.
that bears itself out between Ahmad's debt, and then later on in the book, the mother, the treatment center claiming that there's a balance, and they're trying to figure out how to pay the balance. I just like Asha. At one point, King remarks that like Asha, to still be in her 20s, like she carried herself and conducted herself like someone much older. It's like, well, yeah, because Asha been somebody's mama, been mothering
Mhm.
her mother and her
For a
and
long
her
time.
brother since she was a kid. So
Mhm.
I just love Asha. You're a survivor, Asha. You're a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go to. We've gotten into loves, kind of, but let's do love hate.
I mean, I loved everything about the book. I did. I loved King's dynamic with Ace. I loved the banter between Asha and King. I loved that Asha had one supportive friend, right, in Camille, who had her own baggage, bless her heart, and we were glad that she got a happy ending with Jackson. I loved getting the glimmer that then gets fleshed out even more between Cree and Alicia. That the initial attraction where you're like, there's something here, and then obviously they get their own book in Deuces Wild.
Mhm.
There was just I like all in all, like, right, with this entire book, there was just we got a a very rich story focused on these two main characters, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about how many of the side characters we got enough that either we saw them further down the road and we wanted to know more about
Mhm.
them, or we were reminded, right, with the Drakes, at one point Tariq, right, and Cora make a cameo there, with the theater. Um, and I really love this couple. I really, really love this couple.
Mhm. Yeah, I did too. I love. Oh, what did you hate? We could just pair
Well,
them up.
no, no,
Oh,
no.
you
I
don't
was
want
gonna
to? Okay.
say,
Oh.
I mean, I hated Dorian, and yet I felt some other things for him too. I hated that that situation played out the way that it was. I hated that I felt conflicted about Dorian. That it wasn't as clean
Huh.
cut for me, like outright hate. That's the reason why I hesitated on hate. Not because I didn't want to talk about hate, but like I hated the fact that I felt more conflicted about Dorian than I should have. And I blame Wesley Siobhan. So
Interesting.
I'll be inboxing her on IG for the umpteenth time. Like, damn you, woman, for making me feel something for this man. Because
That's how I feel about Jacoby and Hunter Jr.
Hunter. Oh,
Who
yes,
ends up
yes,
with the two
yes,
women.
yes,
Yes. I didn't want to like
yes.
him, but about it, he gave him everything he needed, and I just was like,
Yeah,
dog
yeah.
it.
You're like, darn you. For
Especially when yes, especially when he say welcome to Hunter Manor. He never means it. It's never a true welcome. You getting ready to die. Every time he said welcome to Hunter Manor, somebody was getting ready to die. But anyway, um, I loved the book entirely. I loved Asha. I liked King. I don't like when the boys are mean, but he wasn't mean to be mean. He was trying to get himself together on
yes.
his insides. But I I really liked how um I liked how they didn't, and this is rare for me. I liked that they didn't come together until the
Mm,
end.
mhm.
I liked that she showed us the hard
Yeah.
part, and I liked that she wasn't afraid to write Asha with her heart somewhat on her sleeve. If it wasn't in her sleeve, it was like in her front pocket. Because when she says like, here I am thinking that you like I might have found something,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
telling me, do you know what I mean, that it's personal, that basically like I really opened
Yes.
up to
Yes.
you. And I appreciated her saying that, because again, in my version of the story in my head that doesn't exist, that wouldn't have come out of her mouth, because it would have been a constant con, like you know what I mean, it would have made her more of a con artist, it would have made her less connected to him, which would have made the book longer and really probably not better. And so I liked, though, that this, at the core of this, it was a love story, and she let them be willing to fall in love with each other. We didn't spend years and years and years with nonsense, but we also got enough hesitance that it
Yeah.
made sense from
Yeah.
both of them. Um, I, yeah, I don't know that I hated anything. I didn't like a brother. He
He
was an
was
irritant. Go
such
somewhere.
an irritant. I was just like, "Sir, go away, please."
You're not helping at
Oh, you're
all.
such a
You're not helping.
leech.
Everything you do is bad.
Everything.
It's like on Game of Thrones, not Game of Thrones, it's called House of the
Yes.
Dragon now. The mother said, the son
Yes.
said, nobody's listening to me, and what should I
Nothing.
do? And she said,
Yes.
nothing.
Yes. Yes.
Why don't you go
Yes.
sit
And
down?
that's exactly what she
Find
said.
a
She
book
said,
to read,
"What
get
should
on
I
your
do?" And she's like,
iPad.
"Absolutely nothing. Please."
Nothing. You are useless to us.
Useless.
You are a croissant dildo, like the lady said on Veep. Useless. And you're making a mess. Go sit down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like when the family members make everything hard. I always want the characters to just don't talk. Go no contact. Don't talk to them no more. Um, what surprised you?
Um, I don't know that once we learn about Robin, I think two things. Number one, um, I don't know that that's how I was expecting. I thought it was very simple as she had cheated on him or something on it. So when we
Mm,
found out what had
mm-hmm,
happened, I was like, I was not that was not what I had on my bingo card for what happened with Kingston's wife.
mm-hmm.
I think two, um, leaving that ambiguous and leaving us with just not knowing is also one of those things where I was like, well, like it wasn't a surprise, but it was one of those things where I was like, well, I guess we are gonna have to, like King, make peace with with the fact that we're just never gonna know, right? We're just never gonna know. It
Yeah.
is what it is. Um, I think. Well, no, I don't want to, because I'm trying not to conflate again. If we just stick in the Annie up, because
Well, we
well,
can
what I
move
was
into the
gonna
other ones
say
because it's the
was I
same.
was
Oh, you
gonna
know.
say Asha's reticence surprised me in King of Hearts. And I had to just
Now, okay, we can really disagree.
I had to give her grace because I was like, well, again, right? Just because you get your happily ever after, they're gonna be together, right? The end of Annie up, it's like, oh, we're gonna be together, great. But here she pops up pregnant. Last experience wasn't a good one, and but we didn't know that, right? We didn't know that, so it seemed
Yeah.
like she was just
Yeah.
being unreasonable for no apparent reason. Um,
Well, the miscarriage does come out in
No, no, no,
Andy
no,
Up.
no. What I'm saying is, it seemed like she was, yes, that came out Annie Up. We thought she was, I'm saying we didn't know she was pregnant in King of Hearts when she is like,
Yes,
sent to
yes,
move his
yes. Now,
back
okay,
and
yes,
cursing him out and acting like
yes.
he done took a shit on her front. Like she was, her
I see what you're saying.
reaction,
Her behavior
yes,
was
her
extreme.
behavior was extreme in King of Hearts. And
Yeah.
we didn't get an indication of why until she tells him, right? Which, fine, right? Because this is where I was like, well, I'm the reader. I'm supposed to be in her head. Why didn't I get a glimmer of that before? Because she done pissed me off. Because
Uh-huh.
it wasn't until she tells him that it's like, oh, and this is dredging up stuff and, all of that.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting there, you're like, what happened? Like, what's the problem? Like, when we left y'all,
Yeah,
y'all were
y'all was
happy and
happy.
playing another round of strip poker, and
Mhm.
like, what's the problem? What's the deal?
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
but
I
I
can
don't think
see that.
anything else like
I
surprised me.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I was irritable with her. But the reason, I thought, why did I think she was giving him a hard time? It could be that I forgave the whole story once he said, "Okay, so what if there is a ring?" I said, "Oh, I love him so much." Um, that's when I fell in love with him. I was like, "Oh,
Meanwhile, I liked when she was like, "Hopefully it's not a." He's like, "Hell no!" After the way you've been acting, I was like, "That's right, King. Tell her
right."
she been dogging you out for no reason. You ain't
No,
even do nothing."
yeah. I loved when he said, "Okay, so what if there is? What you gonna do? Like, tell me up front." But I don't know why. It didn't bother me that she didn't. Did we find out how much
It's
time
about a year.
passes? I don't know. Then I don't know my original memory of it, because every once you read it a second time, you
Yeah,
already know.
it's about a year.
So it could be that I forgave the whole story because oh, you know what I thought the problem was? And I think this is what she says the problem is, but we find out that there's a problem under the problem. That he was being too overbearing. So he like storms into her poker game and he's telling her this and what to do that. And so I felt like my curiosity, or what I gave to the story, and I now don't remember if she gave it to us, is that he was breathing down her neck and she was like, every time I turn around, you either want me to do something different, be somewhere different, you changing my house. No. And then we find out that she's pregnant and she's terrified for a whole multitude of reasons. That's what I thought the problem was. So I think that's why it didn't bother me, because I also don't want people telling me what to do. Leave me alone. So
Okay.
anyway, but yeah, either way, I love the whole thing. Let's go to, who did you think would need to be stabbed? I think we already
We
know the answer
do.
to that.
We definitely do. And
Yeah.
I don't think that there was anyone. Oh, well, he got stabbed. Because obviously Camille's ex-boyfriend, right? Jared,
Yes. Oh, I didn't like
right?
him.
Um, so he,
Yeah, let's get into Camille's story and
yeah,
Jackson.
one, we find out that Asha had previously cut him. So it was like, well, you mean cut him?
Hmm.
Who needs to be stabbed again? And I was, oh, see, Asha's a down ass bitch. Asha was like, listen, don't mess with my friend. I got a switchblade for your ass, um, he could have gotten a little bit more in light of what he cooked up with Dorian. But right, what we're told is that he, left Las Vegas altogether. So as long as he's out of the picture for Camille, which, listen, that it is a great segue because of course in King of Hearts, Jackson and Camille's story, um, and he's leaving, right? He's leaving the flowers, he leaves the teddy bear, and I'm thinking to myself, like, duh, right? When she says to him, "I thought you were a stalker," I was like, "Yeah, bruh, because hello, what is this creepy ass behavior?"
No, but
This
what is it?
anonymous creepy behavior instead of being like, "Hey girl, hey, like, when we first intersected, it wasn't the right time and I was distracted, but I was trying to make my play." Like it was very sweet, but I was just kind of like, Jax, you could have literally just asked Asha about the best way to proceed, and she would have told
Yeah,
you
it could have been
anonymous
different.
gifts were not a good idea because this poor child was
Mm-mm.
getting emergency sessions with her therapist 2 seconds from calling Cree and asking for a restraining order against some unknown person, and here Jackson thinks he's being, Mr. Sweetie Sweet, which he was, but it just he didn't know. He didn't know. Bless his
He
heart, he
didn't
didn't
know.
know.
Yeah, they ended up being cute
Yes.
though too. It was a very sweet story, and um I was glad that because there was no reason, you know, for us to give us that, other than she just had it in her
Agree.
mind. They didn't. Neither one of them popped out to me as being like, "Oh, I want them to have a book." But when they got one, I was like, "Oh, this is great!"
Yeah, I thought she gave them exactly what they needed, right? Because I like, you get
Yeah.
it, you see enough in Annie Up to see, there was attraction there, and Jackson's reaction to her was weird, and it's just left at that. So I was glad that she gave us this little, she just like tied that, what for me was a tiny loose end, because it wasn't
Uh-huh.
belabored to the point where you're like, well, that was weird because she never came back to it. It was just one of those moments that you could have easily just kept it moving and never thought about them again. But I was like very pleasantly
Mhm.
surprised when she chose to give them a give them a couple of pages that just lets us know, oh yeah, no, they got past that, and he made his play
Mhm.
for her, and now they're together. And what we see in Deuces Wild is that they're still together. They're still
Mhm.
very much together and happy and in love in Deuces Wild.
Nice. Um, let's talk. Can we talk about
Oh my
Zora now? Oh
God.
wait.
We talked about Zora. What more do you want to discuss? Oh my goodness.
Excuse you. First of all, I think Zora might be one of my favorite CCW
Clearly.
characters.
Clearly.
I love her so much. I love that she is unapologetically herself. And I love her and Trey. I like the role reversal in terms of the Dom sub dynamic. But although he tops from the bottom the whole
Mhm.
time. And I liked I liked that he I liked the boyhood crush, like
Yes.
schoolboy in love,
Yes.
and he talking to Kingston like, should you think I should take her to Paris? What you think,
Yeah.
Milan? And Kingston is like, I don't think you should. No. Like, but I also understood and fully appreciated her wanting distance from him. To me, I loved it. There was nothing about this story that I did not love, which is why I was upset with her and Stace Holiday, because I was like, you should have already given him 7 children. What are you waiting on? Um, love her down. I wanted to talk about her for 20 more minutes.
They were super cute, and not they. Trey pops up again in Behind the Scenes, which is also set in Vegas, because he is good friends with Logan, who's the main female character.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
Okay.
you know that they're still together.
Is she in it?
No, Zora does not make an appearance.
Okay,
It's just
well,
Trey.
then.
And
Okay.
his appearance is brief, but you know that they're still together. But it was a very sweet. It was sweet.
I
It
love him
was
so much.
sexy, and it also what I liked about it was like Trey demonstrating that as much as he had been carrying this torch for this woman, he wasn't, like you said, he topped from the bottom. He wasn't going to let her punk him just because he had
Mhm.
worn his heart on his sleeve and made it clear that he desperately wanted her. Um,
Yeah, I love when the guy, I think that's the thing for me. I love when the guy is like, I love you and I'm not playing about it.
yeah, and I'm also not
I
gonna let
love
you
that so
punk me, like
much.
in the name of love. So, because
Yes.
she needed that as
Yes.
well. Like he needed to be
Mhm.
able to get behind the armor that she had understandably built up. It was very sweet when they both reminisce. I think they kind of compare their memory of when he she was in the hospital and he was sitting with her at her bedside while she was recovering, and she had one memory of that, and he had his
Mhm.
memory of the situation was slightly different, obviously, because he was like, that's what I continue to just fall in love with you. And meanwhile, for her it was a memory tied in awful trauma, betrayal, disappointment, sadness, all of those things. And Trey
Mhm.
was like, I loved you then, and have continued to love you. And I got why. I think we could all understand why she wasn't like, yeah, oh, you like me, let's do this, because 7 years younger than her. and
It's a lot of
and
time.
she had, their entire dynamic, she had been the older family friend who was out of reach. And I understand it being weird for her, watching him go from being a boy to full grown man. But Trey was up for the challenge,
Mhm.
honey. He was like, listen, let's do
Right. I
this.
can show you better than I can tell you. She's friends with Sloan, right? Yeah, she comes up
Yes.
in
Determining
somebody
possession.
is having a flashback to when, to either talking about this something. Anyway, she know them. They was talking about in somebody's book. They were talking about him being young or her dating young or somebody
Yeah.
something. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I like her. She to me is Cole if Cole was less anxious. If Cole is like if if Cole grew up in Vegas with this, where like debauchery is welcome, and Cole didn't have to do so much worrying about what other people thought, and this is a male business and blah blah blah. Like I feel like they would be kindred spirits, even though there's some years between them.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I
Um,
don't know. I think that
you don't think so?
Cole would have to be a different person to be Zora.
Yeah, because she would have grown up in a different place, in a different business. She would be a
Yeah,
totally different person. But
that's
I
why I
just
don't see
see
the yeah,
echoes
I
of
don't
them.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. What any other stories made you cringe?
I don't think anything made me cringe. Although like I felt Asha's embarrassment when
I didn't like the flashbacks. Some of the flashbacks
I
were
felt
sad, but
Asha's
that's not cringy.
yeah,
But
I
yeah.
mean, I felt so I thought CCJ did a great job in you're in the room when Asha thinks when her father has bet her virginity. Being in that flashback, I agree with you. It wasn't cringy, it was scary actually, right? For me, because it was like, oh shit, how I mean, how's this gonna and it wasn't until you knew that like while you're waiting to see who had the winning hand, you're sitting there
Hmm.
realizing that, oh shit, like how's she supposed to get out of this? And oh, by the way, by this point, we as the reader had known that she had killed her father. And so until it was
Hmm.
clear that her father had won, I think I was
Yeah.
thinking, oh, that's why she killed him. Because
Hmm.
she got raped for debt. And then it was like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
oh, that's not it. But like just the fear of that, then you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's why she killed him because
Yeah. He still deserved to
he
die.
absolutely deserved to die." And it's like if you're willing to do it once, you'll do it again. And so she
Hmm.
literally just got lucky, right? And then that kind of driving home why every time she had a full house, she had such
Right.
mixed reactions because
Hmm.
when she and Kingston play that hand for her to get her job back. She won with a full house then. And he says
Right.
that she like stopped and she paused and she had this weird look on her face. And
Hmm.
he actually thought it was because he'd won because he's like, well, I got a strong
Right.
hand. All I need is one more
Right.
card to have a, complete an unbeatable hand. She had the winning hand, but the way she reacted had him thinking
Hmm.
that he had probably won. Right, and then we
Right.
see the full
Right.
house again, pop up towards the end of the book with the tournament, and whatnot. But yeah, I agree with you that that was like it made me very, very uncomfortable because you're like, God damn, like he literally bet his daughter's virginity, and
Yeah.
even going so far as the way that she described herself as dressed, she's like, there's no way, like, not that how what she was wearing would have made a difference, but the way that CCJ chose to have her describe what she had on, she's like, "I clearly look like a baby. Like it shouldn't that should have never been
Hmm.
on the table. This is my own father doing this." And
Hmm.
then the other um thing that I felt that like hurt my feelings when it hurt hers was when he put her in her place about the tournament, right, about him buying
Hmm.
her, paying the buy-in fee for the tournament, and she was because you saw, like, you could feel how excited she was, and you as the reader, you knew how much she was stressing, how badly she
Hmm.
wanted this, and how close she came, and how devastated she was, but she had to use that money to save him out. Like, you as King didn't know all that level of detail,
Right.
right? He didn't have the
Right.
emotional context for it, but you as the reader had that emotional context. And so you're so happy for her when she's like,
Hmm.
Oh, oh my, you did that for me?" And
Right.
he
Right.
knocked her ass, right? And even Ace
Hmm.
being like, "That was fucked up."
Was that
Yeah, that
necessary?
was
You
fucked
look
up.
like a fucking
Like, you
dummy.
hurt her
Yeah.
feelings and that wasn't necessary. Like, why?
And for no
Yeah, yeah, it was
reason.
that. It was really like because I really felt that. I really
She didn't
She
propose to
didn't she
him.
was just
She was just
grateful.
saying
She
thank
was
you.
just
It's
expressing
like,
gratitude
God
and
damn,
yeah,
buddy.
you'd have thought that she'd have been like, "Let me have your baby." I wanted her to
Exactly.
pay him dust longer. right? Like,
Yeah.
because I was just like, nah, you don't give him another whisper chance, nothing to hurt your feelings like that again. Fuck
It
you,
was
King Wis.
definitely off with
Fuck
his
you,
head,
Kingston.
for
Fuck
sure.
you. That was how I felt.
It
Cause
was
that
definitely off with
yeah,
his
that
head.
egg on the face, I was wearing that with her. And even having read the book several times, like that scene always, I get so angry with him because I'm like, nigga, like that was dead
It's not
wrong. That
necessary.
was dead wrong.
Yeah.
And even, when she's pressing him and he's like, look at my actions. And it's like, no, no,
Yeah, no,
we're not
fuck you.
doing
You're
that
not doing
either.
this. We're not doing this.
No, uh-uh.
No,
Use
sir.
your words. No. Acting like he couldn't understand why she was, also lukewarm with him and was gun shy with him. Oh, my words, my actions will tell you all you need to know. Nigga, if you don't get out my face.
No, no, go to hell. I think that's also why I love Trey so much, because Trey doesn't put Zora through
No.
anything. And coming off of in a speed read, coming off of Annie Up. I love Trey from the beginning the first time I read him, but certainly coming off of King, reading the three in a row, I was like, yeah, King, that wasn't, I don't and as much as I love a third act breakup, it was just kind of like, really? Like, is this necessary?
Yeah. Yeah.
This doesn't feel necessary
Yeah.
for you to treat me like this.
No. Because it wasn't even a
Um,
breakup. Like, they weren't even at that
I didn't do
point.
nothing to
Right. It was
you.
like,
Right.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And give credit to Asha that, like, nothing more needed to be said. She was like, cool. She conducted herself accordingly. She was not, stealing glances from across the room. Like, she
Right.
behaved as if he did not exist. And I was like, that's right, girl. I know y'all gonna end up together in the end, but fuck him. And I'm glad you are sticking to the plan. Ignore his ass. He don't exist.
It wasn't nice. It
And she's
wasn't
like,
nice.
leave me alone.
Yeah. I don't
I,
I don't care for
I
that.
appreciated the whole Robin piece of things, right? That
Okay.
because that could have been, it was just a little different, right? It she if she could
Mm.
have given us wife cheated, right? And
Mhm.
right, she could have given us wife had a drug problem, you know but it was just this, we weren't quite sure what happened, right? And all we
Mhm.
had, which is typically the case, all we had was Kingston's perspective on things, so we never quite knew,
Right.
right? You didn't, even what Dorian relayed, you were left with this very odd picture of what the hell was going on with Robin Whitfield. And I actually kind of like that because, look, she could have given us less, she could have given us more, but I felt like it was enough to, like, add to that intrigue of, well, what did happen? What is this about?
Mhm.
And then the
Mhm.
Sebastian piece of it, because Sebastian pops up again, in
Yeah,
Deuce's
he's in
Wild.
Ace's book,
Yes,
right?
yes, he
Okay,
pops
yeah.
up again, but it was just like, I like that we were, while ordinarily I want every question answered, I want every I dot, I want every T cross. I appreciated the Robin situation being a little more, I think I said this before, like a little bit more ambiguous, but there were enough pieces there where you were like, huh, it wasn't the run of the mill. She cheated and got
Mhm.
caught. It wasn't the run of the mill. She had a substance use problem and got caught. Like, we didn't, we
Right.
thought it could have been all of those. It could have been some of those. It could have been none of those. We just didn't know. Right.
Mhm.
So I kind of like that. I kind of like that that was left that way, which you understood with King not having answers, why that added to his anguish and his inability to get past it.
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
he had
Right.
all of these unanswered questions, right? So
Mhm.
it wasn't as simple, straightforward. She cheated, got it. She was using drugs, got it. He didn't
Mhm.
and allegedly committed suicide while pregnant, right? It
Right.
was all of these unanswered questions, and we as the reader were similarly left with those unanswered questions.
Yeah. Favorite character, least favorite character. I'm sorry, favorite character or favorite character or character you most identify with.
I mean, Asha was my favorite character,
Okay.
with Ace as a close second. I love Ace. I
Mhm.
loved Ace. just because I thought Ace was hilarious. Like Ace was badass, but she also had a great sense of humor, and I love that.
She did.
Um, Least favorite, I can't even because I can't even say that about Dorian. It's like, yeah, but I think I disliked Ahmad more than I disliked Dorian,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
just yeah, I disliked Ahmad more because Ahmad was like that. It's the keeps coming to mind is the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And that's not
Mhm.
the quote that I think is squarely on point, but this notion of Dorian knew exactly who he was. Ahmad to me was worse because he didn't seem to like have a clear perspective on himself. He just kept
The
doing dumb.
impact of his
Yes, he just kept
actions.
doing dumb shit, and it's like, and then his sister would have to come and clean it up, as opposed to, if you go and gamble and get into debt, then fix your shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. I think my least favorite character was her dad.
Well, he was
But
dead, so he got
he's
his
dead, but
comeuppance.
ooh,
He got what was
Lord,
coming to him.
that was so many
He got what was
things.
coming to him.
But favorite character, we know my favorite character. But props, so Zora probably then Asha, then Ace. Um
Lady, do you hear
mhm.
yourself? Zora was
What
the
did I
I
say?
can't with you. Zora
Zora
was the
and then
favorite.
Asha. Correct. Is that I don't understand. Um, yes, that is the order of things. Least favorite character, I would agree with his brother. I also didn't. I didn't like Dorian. If 0 and 0.5 in terms of where they land with me, or maybe -1 and 0. Um, what favorite moment or least favorite moment?
Yeah, I don't think I can choose. I don't think I can choose.
Hmm.
I mean, least favorite moment. I can't choose favorite moment, but least favorite moment was definitely when what we just talked about, right? When
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
is dismissive of her. That was my least favorite moment, even more than the Asha Dorian,
Yeah.
right? Because I felt like Asha was going to be okay and she knew how to handle herself, and I didn't like it was an unprovoked and unexpected
Yeah.
attack, right? What King did to
Yeah.
her, and and so she didn't even have her shields up to protect herself.
How did he fix that? Now I'm like really drawing a blank.
It doesn't get fixed until they don't have any direct contact
Yeah.
after that until he goes to get her from Dorian's house.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then he stays the
Yes.
night. Um
Yes.
and the
Yeah. He
next
doesn't do
morning,
it, baby, baby,
right, the next
please.
morning he's like, debt's been paid off, you know.
This is where he feels like he has resolved it. But
Yes.
okay, okay, okay.
Yes.
So really, has she not been in? Had they not had somebody following her, he might not have never have said anything
Well,
else.
it wasn't that's not when he had someone following her. It was the poker coach tells him she's
Oh, that's
distracted.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yes, because she was making bet. Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes. I actually read that part this morning and it left my head entirely.
Yeah.
Um, or maybe it was last night. Anyway, um, was there anybody who didn't get a follow up on their own book that you wanted to?
No. No. And
I'm interested in the parents. How did they become these poker Vegas folks?
yeah, well, that would have been a prequel, but yeah. Daniel and Angela.
Yes.
I liked the mother's speech. She was like, "Let me tell you something. Okay, I let the last bitch do what she did. I will not let another one do what they do." And you know what I liked? I also was I won't say pleasantly surprised, but I appreciated it that they didn't put on airs, right? They were very down to earth. And even in embracing Asha, right? Like I think Asha was a little nervous about how his family would react if
Hmm.
they thought something was going on between her and King. And yeah, they knew her background, but they clearly distinguished, right? in kind of drawing the contrast between Asha and Robin, it was like what they liked about Asha was the authenticity. They
Mhm.
never saw authenticity with Robin. They always
Yeah.
questioned it, right? And
Yeah.
so whereas with Asha, it was like, yeah, no, okay, she comes from the, the quote unquote poorer side of Vegas, but
Mhm.
she's handling her business, she's, staying out of trouble, she's doing what she gotta do. She is who she appears to be.
Right.
She didn't have to come in here and tell us she's been arrested before and so on and so forth, but she's not putting on airs. Whereas it was clear from what we were told that Robin had constructed a whole new persona,
Yeah.
that turned out to be, a whole house of cards. So I liked that the Whitfields were not like stuck up, snobby, we only deal with money, right? We
Mhm.
only want money, around us, that they were very welcoming to Asha from the beginning.
Mhm. Yeah. I agree. Um, I'm trying to think of any of the other stories or anything that make me cringe. Of course, Jackson's random flowers, all that was cringy just because he didn't know no better. But
He sure
it was
did.
creepy. It
Bless
was
his
like, what
heart.
are you doing?
It was so creepy.
It was very creepy. And nothing else really. I think trying to go through the other story. We didn't talk about Ace's story though. How do you feel about her and Cree?
I love them together. Ace's
Mm,
story, look, I think Ace's story, it gets very dark for a lot of it. It's not. It is more like drama, and the love story is like the side plot, right?
okay.
Because
This is the whole because Thorn Rose.
well, so right, so Ace's book Deuces Wild, right? That then leads
Okay.
to the spin-offs. But because Ace's book centers around her realizing she has a sister, because she had forgotten that she had a sister, and
Oh,
then finding the sister.
like Black Widow.
Yeah, and the sister had been, programmed to fear Alicia. So
Okay.
she like avoids her. Um, and
Mm.
Alicia going after the compound that, trained her, the Rose compound, the
Mhm.
Bella Roses. And Cree being a part of that journey. But the love story between them is like the side plot. The main plot of the
Mm.
story is Ace finding her sister and bringing her home.
Okay. Got
Um,
you.
so I think in that respect, whereas Annie Up excuse me, was definitely more the romance of these two people in less than romancy circumstances.
Yeah.
Ace's story is definitely more like suspense,
Okay.
thriller type.
Drama thriller business.
Yeah,
Okay.
with this romance with, the it's like the irony that she ends up with a cop, but it's almost like she could have only ended up with someone who had that kind of exposure to like the underbelly, and had made
Okay.
choices about his profession and whatnot because of the things that Ace had done and things that she had seen.
Yeah.
What I did appreciate though was that, again, kind of going back to Annie Up, we got the glimmer of Ace when she when she runs up on Cree. This was a very cute scene, right? Cree shows up to Kingston's house, and Ace opens the door, right, or whatever, and they exchange words, and she calls Kingston, and there's a moment where I don't remember what Cree says, but like Ace runs up on him and she grabs him by his tie. And she says something like, "If I wanted to fuck you, you'd already be on
Yeah.
your back," right? And she lets him go as she walks off, and it's such a cool scene because Kree is, like, stunned into silence. King is like, "What the fuck just happened here?" And then when Kree leaves and he, like, is Kingston goes back to Ace, And he's like, "You had to go change your panties, huh?" And she like titters a little bit. Like we got like we saw soft spots of Ace,
Yeah.
which I appreciated, and it made me want to know more about her. Right?
It are King and Asha in Thorn in
They
Deuces
and
Wild?
they do pop up in Deuces Wild briefly.
Oh, okay.
King more so than Asha.
Okay.
And then the Thorns and the Roses. There's three books. One, two, three. Yes, there's 3 more books that flow from The Deuces Wild. It's the Unbroken Rose, The Evolution of a Rose, and The Rose That Got Away.
And these
Um,
are all different women.
these are different women.
Hmm.
So the Unbroken Rose is Alicia's sister Dacia's story. The Evolution of the Rose is about Tempest, who goes to Mahogany Heights. So she's a
Mm,
recovered Rose. Alicia is her mentor, but we hear from Alicia, but we don't see her. They stay in
okay.
contact over the phone, and she falls in love with someone in Mahogany Heights. I love that story. That's one that I've listened to over and over again. And then the
Mm,
Rose That Got Away is again another Thorn and Rose. The Thorn is already now working for Alicia. The Rose is someone that they did not know, and they ran into each other. And then they come together on like a spy
mm,
mission together. So
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. All right. I think um oh, favorite moment though, I didn't say, is when Zora, because you know I'm always talking about her, is when she's in the car and talking to Kingston, and Kingston says, "Get your scary ass out the car."
Yes, because he
Oh my
already
god.
knew where she was. Yes.
Oh, I just loved it so much. Also favorite moment,
Hilarious.
huh?
I said hilarious because I'm listening to you completely and totally fixate on
I
Zora
love them.
Whitfield.
Also favorite moment, I liked when the first time we see her play poker, I think she set the scene very well, and you felt kind of what you were supposed to feel in the final moments and the cards being turned over
Hmm.
and all that stuff. Her writing in this is really, 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 really good. Um, I also liked um I also liked him um when he I like that by the second book, King of what is it, King of Hearts?
Hmm.
Hmm. In that book, he's so patient with her, really because he has to be.
Yeah.
But you learn that their dynamic is him chasing her.
Yes.
When I'm sure he did not see that coming. But like he is it went from him being the one that's trying to set a boundary and be terrible to her constantly him constantly, where are you at, why you're not where you're supposed to be, I told you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
he's constantly chasing her, trying to figure out where she is and what she's doing. And I just love that she's giving him gray hair. I love that she is stressing him out, because I think that that is the natural state all men should be in.
I
um
hilarious. I liked, I remember after when they go to pick Asha up from Dorian's house, they go to retrieve
hmm
her.
yeah, that was a good scene too.
Um when it's just her and Ace in the car, and Ace is like, "Let me put you up one game." And she's just like, "I wouldn't just say this just to say this." And she's like, "But once you have him, you
hmm
have him, and he is a good guy." Um, I also thought that was because I think that you are expected as the reader to understand that yes, Ace works for Kingston, and she has affection for Kingston, but she wouldn't sit there and lie for him. She wouldn't
Right,
sit there and lie
right.
to another woman for him. And so you as the reader are supposed to like be like, oh, okay, Ace is choosing to inject herself into a situation that to this point she has stayed out of it completely.
Mhm.
And yet she is saying to Asha, when you have him, once you have him, you have him. And you have
Mhm.
him. And he
Yeah.
will be good to you. You know. I think that just went a long way because up until that point, that's not what King had shown her, right? Like he wasn't an ass, he wasn't a bad dude, I should say, but he had had one too many asshole moments, and so she was well within her right to be like, "Nah, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
you ain't gotta kick me but once.
Right,
That's
right, and I
it."
appreciated her saying that.
Yeah,
I appreciated her being like, "Nah, I'm good. No, we don't have to talk.
right,
Yeah, no, I'm clear.
right,
You were clear and I am now clear.
exactly.
Turn your head and Imma turn my
That's right.
head."
That's right. That's right. Um,
So yeah.
and I think he vindicated that, right? I thought what was a particularly sweet moment in High Stakes, after he's cut KJ's hair, or gotten him to sit still so he could
Yeah.
finish cutting his hair, and he wipes the tears from the baby boy's eyes and he kisses him. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
that was
so
also very
sweet.
sweet.
Because now we got to see Kingston as the father, right? And
Yeah.
knowing, how much that meant to him, right? Even the moment where in King of Hearts, after she's told him, and he says, "Give me a second," and she sees him down on his knees in the living room and he's praying. So I appreciated her giving us that, right? Of like, now we get to see King as a daddy, and we get to, through Asha's eyes, and Asha's just like, he's nothing like my father, right? He's not,
Mhm.
so whatever concerns I had that, I might be repeating cycles, or that he might be like my dad, none of those things, have come to pass. He's an amazing father and husband and takes care of us, and so on and so forth. And that, you know Asha realizing that that has liberated her, right? And
Mhm.
allowed her to soften, and she doesn't have to be in defense mode,
Mhm.
right? Which was really like her moment, her light bulb moment in high stakes, not high stakes. Yeah, high stakes holiday, as they're getting ready for the holiday party or whatever it is. Because even the fact that she was still working, didn't want a
Yes.
nanny for KJ.
Yes.
She's pregnant, 11 months pregnant with
Right.
the little girl, with the daughter. And at one point she says, she's holding the son, and it's kind of like, it is getting a little heavy. And Kingston like
Yeah.
immediately takes the son off of her, tummy, and
Mhm.
she's just like, even like recognizing, I don't have to be in defense mode. Like, this man
Mhm.
loves his family, is tender with his family, going to take care of his family. um that was just very beautifully done. It really, really
Mhm.
was. It really
Yeah.
was.
Um by book 3, she's still sorting things out, which is why she should have just looked to Zora. Zora teaches us all what to do.
I can't with you. I cannot. We're not. We're. I'm. That's it. That's it.
You just embrace that you have the money, you spend as much of it as you feel like spending, and you make it everybody else's responsibility to earn it back. Not that that's exactly what she was doing, because of course she had her own business and she was doing things, and waterfalls and the things. But I just love how unapologetic she was about who she was and who she came from, and this is who I am, and especially like wait, Ashira Drake
Is the
is,
sister.
yes, but that's not who's in is that who is in The Inevitables? Who is the girl that gets mad at Cora? That she's not a Drake, she's somebody else. No, that's Julia. I wanted that girl to be
Who
a
are you
Drake.
talking about?
Tyreek and
Tyreek's
Cora.
the yes, but
But
what
she was
girl that gets
Julissa.
mad? Oh,
She
okay,
gets mad
yeah.
at Cora and she tried to get her off the board or something, but she's
Yeah,
not a
no,
Drake.
that's not a Drake, because the Drakes are cool with Cora.
Where else do we see Ashira Drake
I think
then?
Ashira Drake is also a friend of Sloane.
That must be what it is. Cause
Yeah,
I'm like, I know I seen her somewhere, but it don't make sense for her to be the one that gets mad at Cora. Okay.
yeah.
It's too many people. She has to have 789 characters,
Well,
main
it's
characters,
5011 books,
and
so
then 28,000 ancillary characters. I am surprised in my own memory. Yeah, I liked I also like when she comes on the scene. I like that the Drakes also don't apologize. Um, yeah, about who they are and what they know how to do.
so let me come back to the point you made about you seeing the echoes of Zora and Cole.
Hmm.
I think it's because what I wonder is how much of the Zora we saw was pre-assault by her husband
Hmm.
versus post-assault. because
Well,
I would submit
it
that
was all posts, wasn't it?
here's let me explain what I mean. What I'm saying is that I wonder how much of Zora's take me or fuck you
Uh-huh,
attitude
uh-huh,
was
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
present
Okay.
before what happened
Yeah.
with her husband versus
Yeah, it could
after.
be. True, true, true,
Right? And we don't know. To your
true.
point, we've only met Zora after all of that awful stuff has
Mm-hmm.
happened. And we don't really get a sense of did she do a 180? I'm not to say that she was a pushover, but one could see that even if she were more low key prior to that incident happening,
Mm-hmm.
one could see how that would send someone into, oh no, it is fuck
Life is
everyone.
too short.
Life
Yeah.
is too
Mm-hmm.
short, and
And
you know,
precious.
trying to be what someone wants you to be can
Right.
still end you being thrown into a glass table. So
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
as well be yourself
Right.
and be
Right.
completely unapologetic about it,
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
you
If
know?
if this is new, then maybe she was just another version of Cole. But if it's not new, I guess what made me see it is that Cole grew up in a similar circumstance with a father who started this big thing and looking for his kids to carry it on, and her feeling the responsibility to do so, and her being in an environment that's like super duper duper conservative, conservative on its face and conservative behind the scenes, where and so her personality kind of formed even in, undergrad. We know that she's listening to his dad and worried about his performance, and thinking about everybody but herself, like that hypervigilance, and sort of over identification and owning parts of people's process that don't belong to you. Can own that kind of neuroses can only come from a kid where it's been drilled to her that like appearance is everything. And that just didn't, but at the same time, she had the bag, she had the shoes, she had the friends, she had the hair, she had the makeup, she knew how to curate her Instagram. And so I just mean that, like, that bad, not that persona of like a moneyed young black woman who is connected, beautiful, never a hair out of place. They both give me that, but under the surface, Cole is, at least to me, came off as anxious and kind of dealing with a lot of other people's problems when she could have benefited from some more authenticity. And Zora, to me, had the authenticity in spades. So she was not going to apologize for wanting oiled up men and oiled up women in her club or whatever that was. She was not going to apologize for how much her purse cost. She was not going to apologize for not wanting to give this young whippersnapper some attention, even though he was cute. Like, so where Cole seemed to be asking for permission, Zora seemed to be asking for forgiveness.
Yeah, I mean, I just, yeah, they just,
But you make a good point. We don't know how much of that came as a result of her being like, "Oh, I really have. You know what? Things are on their tilt, like,
yeah.
and we gonna straighten this here life out, and I'm gonna be me at all times from here on out."
Yeah, I guess to me, the only thing that they had in common was the fact that they were black and came from money.
Okay.
Like, I think that's it. They presented to me as two very different personalities, and so right, and also mindful that Cole did not, like, her mother died before
Yeah.
she right could even remember, how that impacted her. Zora was not in the family business, actually. Zora had her own club,
Yeah.
right? Because Daniel
Mhm.
makes a point of saying Zora had made it clear she didn't want to inherit Whitfield Inc.
Mhm.
So that was all going to go to Kingston. So I just, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I just think that they present to me as just two different people who
Mm.
both black women that came from families with money.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah, yeah. But we know that you love, we know that you're Team Zora, no matter
Yes.
what the book
She's
is.
fantastic. Every
No
every
matter what the
story she's in,
story.
she's the best. I love her.
In the Mahogany Heights, you're like, I'm Team Zora!
Yes. At
Team
all times.
Zora! Zora and Trey visit Mahogany Heights. That needs to be the next story.
Yes. Books that
Um,
have nothing to do with her. I'm going to be Team Zora. She's one
Hilarious.
of my favorite. I love her so much.
But I'm glad that we got to
Yeah.
talk about this. I'm glad that we, this, Christina C. Jones. Just, we love you so much. We just love you. This is
Yes.
my favorite. My favorite.
Deep down,
I have
deep
to go
down.
apologize to the other books that I've told them, I've whispered to them that they're my favorite, but now they know that I was lying. I mean, you're all my favorites. I love you all. I love you all. I believe in
uh,
polygamy. I love you
that's
all.
so funny.
But this one is definitely
This is
special.
your, but yeah, for it to be your favorite of all CCJ, that's saying
Yeah,
something.
yeah. This and then Wonder is number two.
Yeah, Wonder is up there for me. I'm trying to think. I don't. We in the previous episode we might have talked about it. I know my favorite, the one I probably that I know I've read the most times. I I don't know what's Zora is just as a person is next. She's not a book. She's just a person. But I think Wonder is third. But I'm not sure. I might have said it in the first episode and just don't remember.
It's okay. It's
All
okay.
right, I think we've covered it all. Do you have any more business?
No, I think that's it. I think
All
that's it.
right. Well, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for listening.
All right, all right.
Bye.
Bye.